Welcome to Diversity Conversations, where we engage in thought-provoking dialogue to identify leadership solutions to today's most challenging conflicts. Stream live each week, Saturday 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hosted by Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategist and CEOs Eric Ellis and Tommy Lewis. Join us and add your voice to this engaging diversity conversation.
Good morning, Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, the United States, and the world. My name is Eric Ellis, and I'm the president and CEO of Integrity Development Corporation. And I'm joined this morning by my good friend and brother,
Tommy Lewis, president and CEO of Make It Plain Consulting. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Tommy. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. It's a nice day here in Southwest Ohio, Cincinnati area. I understand that you may not be in this region, but it's a beautiful day. We got some rain that will just get us ready for Sunday's golf round and soften up the field a little bit. But a beautiful day, beautiful week, Eric. It's great to see you again.
It's good to be here, Tommy. I am in Orlando. We're here at the home of Disney. And I spoke at a conference with SHRM this week. I'll talk about that. We'll talk about that together. The SHRM, the Society for Human Resource Management, their talent conference. I was called into action. I was actually making a plan, Tommy. I was coming here to listen to Judy give her presentation. And I was delighted that I'd be in the audience and then I'd be on the golf course. And they called me at the last minute and said, Eric, you would be by chance coming to Orlando, would you? We had a last minute cancellation. And so I took someone's place, man, but really had a ball. And Tommy, we just had a great time here. The weather's been awesome. I've had a chance to golf a couple of times. You know, you and I love golfing together. But, man, I've had a chance to golf with my daughter a couple of times. And I taught her how to play when she was a kid. At 5 years old, I'd take her to the driving range with me. And she was on the little golf team at Bethany, man. And I just really enjoyed. And so she developed with me sort of a natural swing. And believe it or not, Tommy, she hadn't hit the ball on a course in 15 years. Mm-hmm. And she got a par on a hole and was doing outstanding, man. I mean, she hit a couple balls over 200 yards.
Wow.
And I was just really, man, so delighted to be out here with her. We parred the same hole. That was the only hole she parred, and we parred the same way. Man, boy, that's living the life, is when you can just spend time with your family. I can't think of anything that would be more fulfilling.
Yeah, I can imagine, Eric, that not only the golf game and, that's with Jillian jumping back on the bicycle, if you will.
Right.
That's one thing. But if you don't mind, kind of talk about the non-golf stuff when you're out on the golf course with your daughter.
Well, we get a chance to really kind of talk about life and talk about how things are going for her right now and what she's interested in. And she's, the older your children get, it's a beautiful thing to have conversation with adult children who now have a chance to look at you in reflection, sort of in comparison almost to the rest of the world that they live in. And they are so grateful all the time, man. And so she was just talking about how grateful she was in terms of what both her parents are doing. And she had a chance to sort of sit in and watch our presentations and read some of the comments that come back from people. And it's a beautiful thing, man. And I'm just so proud of who she is and what she's doing in her workplace. She's getting awards, and she's so proud that she feels that she's been prepared for life. And she's looking forward to, finding the right guy. And so we get a chance to talk about that. We just had a great time, man. And she's just so proud that I exposed her to something as a child that she can still do now. She's had 4 knee surgeries. So I think for many years, she wouldn't go out and try to play golf because she wasn't sure her knees could hold up. But she's been watching me limp around a little bit, Tommy, with my basketball knees and still out there golfing. And she's saying, like, hold up now.
Yeah.
If he's out there, maybe, just maybe, I can go out there And she did, man. And it was just the joy that just doing something when you're competitive, because she's competitive, man. To be able to do something that allows you to be competitive with yourself again is really just a joy. And there's nothing like a father being able to spend time with his daughter, for sure.
Yeah, that is impressive. And congratulations to you, Jillian, and the family, as well as with Judy. As you talk about her in previous shows and today, the intention was for you, Eric, to just sit and get, right?
Right.
Just be in the atmosphere, be in the arena, be in the space, and maybe take a few nuggets away and look around and see the physical reactions of folks, and maybe even, add some to your own repertoire of
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
You were called off the bench, right? And had to
Right.
come in. I'm sure, you were Pistol Pete Maravich, just threw your ball, 3-pointer, and there you go. So congratulations as well.
Thank you for that, Tommy. But the other thing I want to say, Tommy, is that I'm so grateful that Judy is my wife, and that God has allowed me to be the kind of husband who can see her for who she is and encourage her and be proud of her. Because I was just bragging. Anytime I ran into somebody, man, they'd say something to me. I'd say, hey, my wife's got a session. You ought to make sure you sign up for that. It's going to be phenomenal. People were just kind of blown away at how encouraging I was. And after she finished, sometimes, I think, especially when you're a person of color, you're more used to call and response. So when you say something, you're used to the crowd saying something back. And in her session, people were quiet. And so she was like, I was so boring. I said, huh?
Yeah.
What world are you talking about? I said, you didn't just see the presentation that I saw.
Right.
I said, you were phenomenal. I said, and the silence you heard was people frantically taking notes. I said, did you see all those cameras that were out?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just grateful to be able to tell her who she is and how amazing you were. Not just the content, not just the research, but your delivery, your storytelling. You move people, and you provide them with way more than they would ever anticipate. I mean, she's phenomenal, man, in terms of just the detailed presentation. And Judy judges herself by, I think, like all the body of knowledge that exists out there.
Yeah.
Like, I've only got 93% of all the information. Like,
Right,
what? Okay. I'm sorry you don't have 100,
Right.
But phenomenal, man. So I was just grateful. And then both of us had that wonderful sigh of relief when you're done. You know this for sure, Tommy. You and I love the work that we do, but how glad are you when it's over?
Yes.
Because there's no guarantee that these things go well. I mean, people look at you as though that's in the bank. No, that's not in the bank.
No.
And you can fall all over yourself and not figure out how to get up off the ground. And so you're grateful when you say your final word, and then just grateful for anybody that benefits from that.
Yeah.
I have really now begun to realize, even during these big presentations, to leave room for people to ask questions, to weigh in, because they really love it when they get a chance to participate a bit as well.
Yeah, Eric. That's great to hear. I had a very interesting and kind of almost a first-time experience this week, Eric. And the experience actually reminded me of my experience with you. And so 3 weeks ago, I go to an event where it's an African-American leadership development program kind of reunion.
Okay.
And I had graduated from this program, I would like to say almost 20 years ago, almost. And I hadn't been terribly involved from an alumni perspective, but I decided I'm going to go to this alumni kind of social. Wasn't a lot of people there, maybe 25, 30 people, had nice hors d'oeuvres, things like that, nice conversation. And this one young man ran over to me, and he was looking at me kind of differently. I introduced myself, he introduced himself, and he kept saying, "Man, where do I know you from?" I threw out a couple of things, this organization, this location, etc. He's like, no. So we kept talking, and then he kept bringing it up, like, where do I know you from? I was like, I don't know, brother. You meet a lot of people. I meet a lot of people. And we just kept it moving. I didn't stay that much longer, maybe another 45 minutes, and then I scurried home. Yesterday, I got a call at 7:45 a.m.
Okay.
Right. I'm already at the office. Right. And this is a call to the office, not on my cell phone. I get a call. He said, "Hey, Tommy." Like, yes. Right. I don't know. Hey, listen. Man, I know what it was. Right. I say, I'm sorry. Who am I speaking with?
Right.
He's like, no. This is Malcolm. Man, I know what it was. I'm like, Malcolm, help me understand, Malcolm. Help.
Right. He's still trying to place him.
3 weeks ago, we met at the leadership alumni deal. I said, oh yeah, brother. Okay. He says, I know where I met you from. He says, I was in a internship program with Metropolitan Sewer District. Right. I was like, yeah, the Student Intern Academy. He said, yeah, that was about 15 years ago. And used to play a song every morning because we called it Professional Fridays.
Right.
Used to play a song every morning when we came in, and I wasn't familiar with the song, but I've played that song every week when I get motivated. Wow. It's a song called "Closer to My Dreams" by an artist named Guapale.
Okay.
Right, and he said I was listening to it this morning for my week, and it triggered. That's who that was.
Right.
15 years ago, I introduced him to a song that became his musical mantra. He did not remember my face, kind of. He didn't remember my name, couldn't really connect the event or how, but the song triggered his memory of me and how he remembered it. I shared that, Eric, because one, I was awestruck, right? And he kept talking about how influential my words were and how he created his own several businesses, right? And how he views the world from the lens of love based on what I was hard teaching, right? I was hard teaching then. And I was like, Brother Malcolm, man, it's not about me.
Right.
I learned something from other people, and it's my duty to pass it on. And it reminded me, Eric, in closing, that when I was going through inroads, and some of our community is familiar with inroads, that I had really two goals in mind. One, I was told very clearly by my father to act right. Right? My father said, boy,
don't bring no shame to the family.
Don't bring no shame. And so I had some pressure, I had to be right. If I had to sit in the front.
I saw that. I saw it all the time, bro.
I had to be right. Yeah. I was so afraid, of the old, something getting back to the old man.
Right.
And then I was engaging with you, and I think you saw my eagerness. You saw my roughness, but I had a plan for the future. Right. And I literally, Eric, I didn't care about other people. I needed my plan to come into fruition.
Right.
So I needed this internship to move me into full-time employment, to move me into financial health, to move me into a home. I had a plan.
Right.
And you was like, brother, go after your plan. Right. And I remember that, and now full circle, some 30 years plus with you, with this brother Malcolm is 15 years. God is wonderful.
Right.
in what he does through us, with us, and for us.
That's right. And we don't take that for granted. And we are just grateful that God has given us some assignments, that God continues to teach us, that God allows us to recognize the honor, the gift of being able to teach and being able to learn. And so often people miss that about us, that we're not just teachers, we're also students, and grateful students, and humble learners, and recognizing that all that we have is not because of us, but oftentimes it's a greater source outside of us. And always glad to, don't even think about it. You don't even think about the impact that you've had on the world.
Right.
You just keep doing what you do and you move on. But you've planted a bunch of seeds out here, man. And some of those are blossoming. And when people can say that who I am today in part is because of the experiences that I had with you, and that you did something on a routine basis that stayed with me. Yeah. It imprinted all the rest of the stuff all the rest of the lessons that you delivered. That's powerful, Tommy, man. I'm grateful to hear that. I wanted to, I mentioned it to you before the show, but I want to talk about it just a little bit before we go into, because I'm going to talk a little bit about purpose and what I talked about, and you and I will have that dialogue together. But I want to talk about Reggie Jackson, the baseball player, because I just had a chance to watch the special that is out on Reggie Jackson right now. And Major League Baseball player, hero to many. I remember him in the 70s as I was growing up. I remember him being talked about all the time. And it was almost like he was the Malcolm X of baseball. And but the way they described him, he was always angry. And see, when the media gets a hold of something that is acceptable for them to do, so if it becomes acceptable for them to disparage you, if you're not the good Black, the cooperative Black person, then sometimes you get disparaged. And so that's really what was happening to him. His father was a pro baseball player, but it was powerful to watch him go through life. I think he was with the Oakland A's there at first, and he won 3 World Series with them. And the owner just got kind of tired of him, and never wanted to pay him his due. I think he was making $25,000 a year, horrible little bits of money. Right. That's good money probably back then, but then he moved to the New York Yankees. And when he got there, he was just booed and hated by everybody. And you just watched him walk alone, even being disparaged and misunderstood by African-American teammates because he was making so much money. And for him to be able to come up out of that, I think it was Steinbrenner that was the owner then. And whenever, so the general manager, Billy Martin, didn't like him, so they were at each other all the time. And then the owner would call his father and say, talk to Reggie, that it's kind of because Reggie had so much respect for his father, like you and I did. And then to watch him come out of nowhere, Billy Martin finally put him in that 4th slot cleanup. And man, he started cleaning things up and became a hero there in New York. And just to watch a man, Tommy, out of his sheer ability that says that you don't have to like me. You don't have to like my fierceness. You don't have to like my confidence in who I am. But eventually, if you want to win, you're going to get out the way and let me do what I do. And they did that with him, man. And Tommy, you know how much pressure it is on an athlete. I don't have any clue about what it's like in baseball. I'd love to hear your thought about that. But man, when there's all these people kind of rooting against you after a while, they don't like all the money that you're making. They're putting you anywhere in the lineup that says, I don't have no faith in you. The owner went and got you, but I didn't want you. How do you play up under that and literally turn his teammates around, turn the city around, and win 2 World Series there? And then I'm going to come back after you comment on this to talk about him trying to buy a baseball team afterwards, man. And that was just shocking to hear some things there.
Well, so baseball as a player, it's a very isolating profession. So although you're a part of a team that may have 9 on the field and maybe an additional 9 or 10 on the team, give or take, uh, it's very position specific when you get to that level. And so if you're playing the outfield, you're literally in the outfield for the majority of the day by yourself. There's only 3 in the outfield, but you're only one left field, center field, or right field. You're just out there literally on an island. And so when you play baseball in your respective positions, Eric, on that island, you're in your own head.
Right.
And when you get in your own head, you can hear yourself as well as other people. Although there's a lot of people in the crowd, you can hear them.
Right.
And fans are short for fanatics.
Right.
People say things that are hurtful.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're still trying to focus on that. And then you move from the field into the dugout, into the locker room, into the what they call the clubhouse.
Right.
And there's a lot of politics there.
Yeah.
Right. Who knows who, what's doing what. Folks are being called up into the big leagues. Folks are being sent down into the minor leagues. Any given day can be, something different. And also the culture of baseball, Major League Baseball, is that it's one of few professional athletics that contracts are guaranteed, right? Whereby when you sign that contract, you are bound to do the work, and the club is bound to pay you, whatever that is. So there's always some jockeying.
Right.
We're a team, but I need mine.
Right.
And it can be an isolating and sometimes a lonely occupation. And those teams that make it together to the pinnacle, which is the World Series and Championship, they at times come together, but then they fall apart too because of the business of baseball.
Right. I saw, Tommy, what was shocking to me, because it's playing out itself the same way in football today, is that he was getting that little $25,000, $28,000 a year, Oakland A's. And then all of a sudden he's like, well, let's trade me. I think they surprised him, because I think he thought he was going to be there forever, and then they traded him. And I mean, it was just like, we're done with you now. And so what was interesting is I think all of baseball, all the owners were ready to sort of blackball him. Like, we're not going to give him big money. Everybody hold out. Let's keep him at those slave wages. And the first black ball player that started complaining about slave wages got eliminated from baseball, just like Kaepernick. And so then Reggie was right after him talking about money, and everybody looked like they were committed to be. And then it got into a bidding war because he had won so many World Series. Everybody's like, hold on, I want to win too bad. And so then Steinbrenner came in with that $1 million contract. And I mean, that's just huge, man, to see him weigh out, just wait out all of that. But then the thing that shocked me after he did this illustrious career, New York had fallen in love with him, that he was trying to buy a Major League Baseball team, because he was saying, look, we get to play on the field, but we don't get to own a team. And Tommy, just like you and I experienced in our industry, I was shocked to see that he had a group of owners that included Bill Gates, and they would not sell him a Major League Baseball team, man. And I was just like, what? You can come to the table with Bill Gates and some other billionaire, and people won't sell that crew a team. They'll sell it to almost anybody else. And so for many in our community that may not have this experience of structural racism or sexism or isms, it is brutal, the forces that sometimes will work against you to ensure that you never get a part of this big pie. And for those of us that are fighting at smaller levels, we're not a Reggie Jackson. We don't have the illustrious 5 World Series. We have not been the game changer, game maker. I mean, in the World Series, we hitting 3 home runs in one game to close this thing out. I mean, that's big balling, bruh.
Yes, sir.
Anybody, I mean, he's on Wheatie boxes and chocolate bars and everything else. And this guy with Bill Gates and somebody else can't buy a team.
Yep.
If that's not happening for him, you see how difficult it is, Tommy, to crack through this system, man, if people aren't partnering with you and open to change.
Eric, this is profound. In the work, the decision maker, whomever that may be,
Right.
may very well say, it's not about the money at all.
Right, right.
Right. You got the most wealthiest people in the world
Right.
in your corner.
Right.
What is it about then? It's about my thought and feelings about you.
Right.
Right. It's not about if you can do the job. It's not about who's co-signing, who's your references.
No.
It's not about your experiences. It's not about the accolades and accomplishments, trophies and awards that you can list. Either
you're not coming to this side. Right.
You're not coming to this side. You're not coming to this side. And that can be in any arena. And so what you know and what I know is that we are always humble. And that humility is not at all, Eric, I want our community to hear this. The humility is not, well, thank you for the little crumbs that you've given me. Right. That's not the humility.
Right.
The humility is that the work that we put in and everyone else puts in at any given day for anyone, it can go away.
It can go away, man.
And so our humility is, okay, I'm here, we're doing the work, I'm in the big leagues. I want to move into the bigger leagues, which is the ownership, right? And you all keep slamming the doors.
Right.
Okay, no problem. I'm humble that I have other things I can do. This was an interest.
Right.
But please know that everyone will have their day of acknowledgement and reckoning. Right. And it's not on the negative. This is not on the negative. It's basically the come to Jesus moment. Right. And that's what's, I would tell you that baseball today is more and more coming into that space, because back in the 70s, when we had this $1 million contract, now we have close to $500 million guaranteed contracts. And players are leveling up, that other players are saying, last year I got 1 million for 5 years. That person got 100 million for 5 years.
Right.
I need mine, and it's going to be a reckoning.
Right.
Folks are like, we have to pay for the talent, not the way we feel about you, not the way we think about you, but what you're doing in your work. And that's what we do in baseball, basketball, football, is what we do daily in our work. Value of our work.
And I'll tell you, the other thing that blew me away was, I understand something about the pressure that a whole society, that's what Reggie Jackson was dealing with. Not just the pressure of his team, not just a few haters here and there, but an entire world, an entire society that says, hey, boy, we don't like that you're getting that much money and you're not smiling all the time. Mm-hmm. And so for a guy to say, you know, you ain't really gotta like me. Mm-hmm. You ain't gotta like me at all. I'm gonna speak my truth. And I'm not gonna be nasty with it. I'm just gonna speak my truth. I know who I am. Mm-hmm. I like money. I like nice things. I like winning. I like knocking balls out the park. If you want to win, at some point, you have to come my way. And for his ability to be able to overwhelm the racism and bias and envy of the world but he couldn't overcome it in a space where it wasn't about ability. Right. When it was about ability, eventually he said, you got to come my way if you want to win. And then let me show you. Yep. But buying a team was not about ability. It was about people making a decision to. But here's what you and I know, Tommy, that ultimately to win, you're not going to be able to do that without diversity. You won't. Technology is going to make sure of that. because we're going to be able to let the people know in the society, in the world around you, that if you don't buy into this, if you're not fair, if you're not trying to be equitable, then eventually you won't have the benefit of the business of diverse people. They won't support you, and you do need that in order to survive.
Yep, that's a hard truth. The data is supporting that. The trends, as they're spiking up or downward, are supporting that. And just almost, I'm really hesitant to share this as we get into our topic. Common sense, Eric, is showing this, and I'm hesitant because that sense is not common.
Right.
That diversity brings value.
Right.
That's just the way it is, man. There's so much research out there. There's so many long-time and short-term trends that are indicating that consumers and customers and clients, we can't keep going back to the well, right, with the same stuff. We have to expand and leverage the diversity of the human beings that inhabit this earth.
Right. And so I say to you, Tommy, and I say to our community out there that's watching us this morning, stay the course. Yep. Keep doing what you do, whatever your craft is, whatever your gift is, whatever your work is. Try to be the best that you can at that, and stay with it. And don't let anything discourage you, because at some point in time, your gifts will make room for you. And that's the thing that we have to understand. It doesn't matter who's running past us. It doesn't matter who's bigger. If you understand your purpose, then you're already a winner. Because I tell my children all the time that success is not defined in things that are external to you. So success is not defined in a job, in a position, in a promotion, in a salary. Success is defined by the quality of each moment lived. And so every one of us can be successful as soon as we live in these moments, the best life that we can, being the best people that we can. My daughter was watching me just being gracious to people on these golf courses that weren't happy that we were there, and just being nasty. Sometimes other minorities just being nasty to you because they feel like they can be. But you know what? I can't let your bad attitude and your bad day jump into me, because now you winning twice. Yeah. You get to treat me nasty, and I get to feel horrible about it. No, I'm not about to feel horrible about it. I'm going to tip you double to show you that you want him. You grabbing my bag, bruh. Yeah. Why you going to treat me like that? But here, because I don't actually know all the things that have gone into your attitude today, that you want to take it out on me, but I have the ability. You know how Liam Neeson said, I have a certain set of skills. Yep. That's what we have, Tommy. And the skill set that we come with is one of love, that says that sometimes when you had another agenda when you came at me today, but that agenda can't win over what I'm packing and what I'm bringing. So let's talk about, Tommy, purpose. And I'm going to bring up this, so that was the title of my presentation that I got called into action on when they told me it was, about sort of aligning our purpose with organizational success. They said, Eric, do you want to change the title? I said, nope, I can do something on that. I've been in business for 30 years. So, I can talk about a lot of different things. But here's what I shared with them, Tommy, was my purpose. My purpose is to reconcile people across similarities and differences through embracing the value and power of love. This is, I know, why I was born to the earth, is to really reconcile people across similarities and differences through embracing the value and power of love. Tommy, any reactions to that, or even any thoughts or that you want to share about your own purpose?
So I would say that the last part of that statement, value and power of love. Eric, I understand the power of love. The power of love is, for me, is when I can see, experience, or feel the strength, right, which is the power of love, especially when it overwhelms, overtakes, or it even is patient and wise to hate. That's a power too, when it's patient and wise to that. But value. I would like you to react to that because I think I know the value of love, but honestly, I I see in people far too often that love is devalued and the power of love is more important. So I don't know if I or maybe even others see the true value of love.
Right. I tell you, Tommy, I watched this little movie with Tom Hanks called A Man Named Otto.
Yep.
I may have mentioned it. Tom Hanks was in there. He was angry in a lot of the movie. And it took us a while to recognize that the reason why he was angry was that he found the love of his life, a woman that was more beautiful than him, someone that he didn't believe that he deserved, Penny, Judy, you know.
Yep.
And then he was with her and his life was perfect, and then she died. And so what he had then left was, and so what you saw was anger all the time and grumpiness, neighbors, everybody. That's all they saw. But they didn't realize that it was hurt. And so when I saw that movie, you know what I said, Tommy? I said, that's how I see people. I see people sometimes who are walking around and mean and barking, just barking at people. Sometimes, Tommy, I see them as a man named Otto. I see them as that there's no reason for that. So what pain has happened in your life that I need to be patient enough to understand? And I believe that if I could just throw some love your way, it might sort of dismantle that hard exterior. And it may allow us to tap into what is the hurt that allowed you to lose your confidence in humankind. So that's what I would say. So on my good days, I recognize that there is huge value to teaching people how to love each other and to do that by modeling love towards them. I recognize that when you do that, you unlock and unleash sort of the full potential of that individual. I say on my good days, because on other days, if you catch me with some nastiness, Tommy, I might come right back at you with that, and then I gotta ask God to forgive me for that. But that's what I see as the value of love, man. It's disarming and it's unlocking and it's empowering.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. That was helpful for me. And I have found my purpose, and like you, we wish that others find their purpose, whatever that might be. And we are defining ourselves differently. Some of us define ourselves based on our accomplishments, higher education, particular jobs, and advancements within our careers. Some of us define ourselves and our purpose based on our families, right? And how we are involved with our families, how many do we have in our families, and our support of our loved ones. And then some of us define ourselves and our purpose singularly. It's just I. And so I would like to say this, that those who are self-centered in their pursuit of their own purpose, I think people have the right to be self-centered in their own purpose.
Right.
And so I don't want that to be missed, where sometimes, Eric, other people are telling people, here's what your purpose is, because I can see you do this.
Right.
I see parents and other loved ones doing that with kids. Like, hey, you're a talker, you should be an attorney.
Right.
You're good with math, you should be an engineer. Right. You're good with kids, so you should be a healthcare worker or some type of child care worker. And then that person is highly influenced by those words and then reframe their own purpose based on the lens of someone else.
Right.
And so therefore they're not able to do that. And so I'm speaking of myself real quick, Eric, that I went into engineering for two reasons. One, someone told me that you can make money. right? And as an engineer, I wanted to make money by way of solving problems, building things that I can physically see at the end.
Right.
But I really didn't love it.
Right.
So my love or lack thereof for my career interest really wasn't my purpose.
Right.
And I was always off center.
Right. That's right.
Until someone and some people told me, pause, look in yourself. What do you want? Right. And I said, I don't want this. It's not my purpose. And when I found my purpose, it was very different than what other people thought, but I was completely in love and empowered by it.
Right.
And said, I can do something with it.
That's
so
right.
That's my story, and that's why this is resonating with me so personally.
Right, right. And you're a magnet for other people who are discovering their purpose. And you brought some of those young leaders onto our programming, man, which has really been moving to our community. I also said, Tommy, that it's important to understand your purpose, but then you also have to identify the corresponding values that go along with that purpose. And so I'll share something about the first two and then have you react to that. So I believe that part of what we have to do is we have to model our purpose. So if my purpose is to reconcile people across similarities and differences through embracing the value and power of love, then I have to model that, Tommy. I can't just say that and let those words roll off my tongue, but then turn around and not try to live it. And I think so often, if we're not careful in this work that we do, there's so many people that once they become a subject matter expert or a DEI ambassador, a practitioner, then they act as though they're in diversity heaven and that they don't make mistakes anymore. And so they stop modeling, that purpose. And I think that that's a mistake. And then I have to manage my biases. So model my purpose, manage my biases. That means never get to a place, Tommy, where I assume that I've graduated, that I no longer have anything to work on. And so I think that you have to identify the values that give sort of credibility to your purpose, is being able to understand those. Say something about those two values, if you would, or other values that you may have around this, identifying the corresponding values to purpose.
Eric, I love this. So in modeling your purpose, you're actually creating a behavior toward a particular outcome, a desired dream or aspiration. Again, that's a behavior.
Right.
The behavior is an action. Then we all have biases, and those biases are mental biases. So we are behaving in a way, acting in a way that then our minds get in our way. I think this is profound, because I have found myself, Eric, coming into some epiphany, coming into some learning and changing my behavior. But then I still have what my mother used to call some stinking thinking. That bias surfaces up, right? And I have to check myself. Whoa, what are you thinking here? Because that is actually diametrically opposed to what your purpose is. Your purpose is to love, and you have this bias that's creating hate and harm.
Right.
Or this bias about a particular person or a group of people that if they were to hear your thinking, or if anyone else were to hear your thinking, then they will say, oh, you're a liar. You're a liar because what you've been saying you're doing as far as your purpose is different than what I'm seeing in your mind. For me, those first two are critical to model and continue the purpose and manage. Operative word is manage. When bias comes, manage.
That's right. That's it, Tommy. That's it. And what I'm saying is, don't lift me too high up on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Because I'm a work in progress. I'm still on that potter's wheel. And then that ties into the next one that says, be honest to people. I think that you can have a high purpose, you got to go after that. You can't dumb down the purpose that God has given you because you can't live up to the standard always.
Right.
You know, you've got to keep striving for the standard. You got to keep striving for your purpose. The purpose is not to be perfect at it. The purpose is to keep going at it, to keep going after it, reconciling people across similarities and differences through embracing the value and power of love. And while I'm doing that, I'm trying to model the right things, but I'm also trying to manage my biases. But the one thing you can be assured of is I'm going to be honest with you. And I'm going to say that I don't win all the time, and I don't do this all the time, because I don't want you to hear me acting as though I've got this down. Because when you see me stumble, I want you to understand that I'm human, and that I shared with you to anticipate that I wouldn't get this right all the time. And so, you know, being honest, admitting mistakes, learning from those mistakes, and apologizing. So those are values that surround this purpose. Look at the third and fourth and maybe weigh in on that.
Let me jump in, Eric. Let me apologize. Right. As you were sharing, you triggered something with me. Just yesterday, Eric, my young son, Bryce, and I, we were leaving the office, and we're in the urban core, downtown Cincinnati, just like any urban city in America, if not the world. So we're downtown Cincinnati, and there was a young lady, African-American woman, maybe in her 20s, maybe even 30s, who was walking ahead of us because she was getting off of the elevator before we did. And the young lady had a particular appearance. She had very long eyelashes. She had very, very long hair, in which her baby hair was, you know, styled on her head.
Yeah.
She was scantily clothed. It was a warm day, so she looked as if she was going to a beach, but it was not that warm of a day. And she was beginning to smoke. I don't know if it was medicinal,
Right.
but whatever it was, it wasn't nicotine or tobacco.
Right.
And she was on the telephone, and she was using an awful lot of profanity. Right. We were walking 4 or 5 feet behind her. I immediately was going through a series of biases.
Right.
Eric, I mean, going through the gamut of biases. As I'm looking back at my son, you know, we're moving toward the exit door, right? And me and my son, we're together, and we're carrying this big package that we have to take to the car. And we're getting to the door, and the young lady, she gets to the door and she opens it. She begins to move through the door, and she turns. As she's cursing on the phone, she's holding the door open for us. Eric, what you just said reminded me, I need to apologize. When she was opening the door, those biases shifted to, oh, she has some home training. She's not that bad. She's on the phone cussing, holding the door, looking at me, and welcoming me and my son through the door. Right. I then turned to my son, because I had to educate him constantly. I turned to him, hold the door open as I go through the second set of doors. There's another set of doors. So he holds the door open for her to walk through the second set. Eric, my purpose is love. My purpose to give love. I don't know if I managed my biases well, and I made a mistake in projecting that bias in my energy and in my spirit. My son can feel my spirit, and I think he was feeling me some type of way. That's because my behavior was, I turned to look at him.
Right.
Because I was walking ahead of him carrying the box. Right. All those dynamics. It's the two of us walking. I'm ahead of him. I'm feeling a little way. My body may have changed. I don't know. And then I turn to look at him, and he just with his headphones on, walking away. He pulls one out. What, Dad? And I'm like, you know. So I have to apologize because I have had. I'll say this and shut up. Eric, I love people. I love our people so much. And over the last several years, I've had particular biases with young people, young African Americans, young people of color, that they do things differently than I do in things that I was taught. The gross profanity, just the swearing, just the violence. Their parents are cursing at infants, at toddlers. It rubs me a certain way, but I have to get out of my own way and not judge them if I'm truly about the purpose of love. Their articulation of love might be different than mine, but I do know that God knows everyone and he takes care of them as he takes care of me. Even if that person does not acknowledge God, my God says I take care of them anyway. I have to be purpose driven. I have to manage my emotions. I have to manage my biases, and I have to apologize when I know that my thoughts were stinking thinking. Thank you for allowing us to have this platform.
Woo! So, Tommy, this is the wisdom. This is the credibility of juxtaposing our purpose with our values. And it's what makes you effective at what you do. What you and I do in organizations is meaningless if we're not willing to stack some values next to our purpose. And that value of saying that even if it doesn't come out where y'all could just cancel me, I'm going to share it. Yeah. Because I'm not afraid to own who I am. And as I own that, it puts me in a position to achieve my purpose and for that purpose to be worthy of others' respect. It has no worthiness of respect without a willingness to be honest about the mistakes that you make in your actions and even in your thinking. And I'm so tired of a plastic world that acts as though it's either this or that, and life is so black and white. It's not black and white. Right. Life is filled with grays. Life is filled with, and each of us is filled with intention, goodwill, and negative things that have an impact on the world. Judgmentalism, Tommy, that exists inside of all of us. I just think that is power. I thank Terry, Roger, for joining us this morning. Brooke, Roger says sometimes you can change your position for a better view and never change your view on your position because of your biases. Yep. Let's see what else he said here. What is the cost of value and what is it worth? Ooh,
that's a powerful one, Roger. Come on.
What is it worth? What are my values worth? My values are everything. My values protect me from me. My values allow me to fail and to understand that I'm not a failure. My values are what I can put up in front of people, and they might be feeble at times because my life doesn't perfectly align with all of them. But the other values that I have allow me to exist with some degree of comfort that I am not the perfect one, but I know one who is. And that is who my role model is. My role model is God, our Father, our Lord and Savior. And then I get a chance to see God in other people like you, Tommy Lewis, like Roger Miller, like Terry Cooley, like Brooke. We get to see God operate in others. And you and I get a chance to see this all the time
Yeah.
in each other, man.
Yeah.
And I'm just so grateful for our transparent relationship, Tommy, because it's rich in a world of people that are photoshopping their lives.
Come on.
Literally photoshopping their lives as though there are no bad days or no flaws or no bumps or pimples or anything, man. All of that exists in our lives. And I'm grateful that as you and I have been transparent with each other, it never causes us to lose the character of who we are.
Right.
Even if every action that we take doesn't line up with that, nothing changes my view of Tommy Lewis's purpose and his value to life because of those moments of, regression.
Value can cost us in many different ways. One's value, Eric, can cost them their livelihood. It can cost them money. It can cost them time, relationships.
Yep.
Right? It can cost them everything. You can lose everything based on your values. Right? At the same time, the cost of value can be priceless. You can gain everything because of your value. That you will receive blessings, you will receive some privilege because of a value.
Right.
That people in this world and events and situations may either come to you because of your value, or you may be shielded away from it because of your value. Okay, let me repeat that. This is my personal testimony.
Right.
I know for a fact, Eric, that I have been removed from certain violent situations because other people have valued what I value. So if I value love and giving, folks said, T, you need to raise up. What's happening? What's happening? Don't ask questions. It's time for you to go.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, let me leave and ask questions later.
Right.
And then get home later and on the news. Well, welcome to the 11 o'clock news. We had breaking news here. Oh my gosh, I was just downtown.
Right.
I was just there. I lied to you not, Eric. And so my value of love that people have seen, they value the same thing I value. So the cost is we're going to spend time, words, effort, attention, energy in protecting your value as I protect mine.
Right.
And I do the same with other people. Right. Hold on. Let's do some coaching here. What do you value?
Right.
Well, I value respect. Okay, that's both ways. You respect others as they respect you. All right. That's number one. What else do you value? I value my time. Okay, that can be reciprocal. You value your time, so do you value other people's time? Right? And so as we raise that value bar and understand what our value is, then we might be able to associate a tangible cost to it and an intangible cost to it. Right? And that intangible cost may be what you will spend or earn without you knowing right now. What I do right now, Eric, and what you do, and all the energy that we put into it, because it's value driven, is that we reap the financial benefits, the time benefits, the golf, and all that because of that value and the effort put into it. That now it's like, oh, we are multi-billionaires with love. Maybe not with finances, but with love, with respect, with happiness and joy. It is indeed priceless.
Absolutely, Tommy Lewis. Couldn't agree with that more. Let's see if we can't, because we're coming to a close, man. I didn't realize we would just blow right through this. Embrace the right fights, avoid the pride fights. And so there's sometimes we have to stand up and fight, but sometimes our pride can get in the way and send us into fights that we gotta avoid. I just did that yesterday, man. I had to get off the phone because I had been sucked into something that my actions weren't helpful. They weren't. And if I continue to talk, they were going to be less helpful. So I just said to say, okay, arrest yourself. Because right now, this can happen when you're talking to your children and they talk in any kind of way, fit and then demonstrate empathy to everyone you see. Tommy, let me just go and pull this down and let you sort of respond to any of those.
So I'll say the empathy to all. I think that's a profound statement, easier said than done, but it's necessary. Empathy should not be selective.
Right.
It should not be biased and or prejudiced. Right. If you truly are empathetic, you have that skill, that ability, that piece in your DNA, it will come out whomever it is, whatever it is, whatever the event, situation, circumstance, or conversation. If you are indeed empathetic, there are different levels. You may be highly empathetic in that moment, or you have low empathy in that moment, but you should be able to double click empathy and draw it up to the surface. And if you are managing your biases well, and your bias is covering over the empathy, then you should be able to say, whoa, hold on, bias, get out of the way. Empathy, now I'm leaning in, empathetic listening, active listening, right? I'm understanding, I'm trying to walk in the other person's shoes. And so that's not just for one, not just for some, Eric. That should be for all. And that all first begins with you, the person. Have empathy for yourself first. Embody empathy first. Become empathy first. Not just do it, become it, right?
Right.
And when that happens, doing it for all becomes very easy, particularly in closing, when it's the proverbial trying to walk in another person's shoes, when sometimes that is very difficult, if not impossible. Empathy says you're going to try. You're going to try. And so that's the effort.
Right. Tommy, I'm going to go into overtime just a little bit to read what Terry said. Tommy, I like the story you told. It reminds me of what I'm going through here working with foster kids. I try not to work by my flesh, but by the Spirit of God. I work with so many different kids with so many different personalities and problems, and they will test you.
Yes.
And I've had the honor of listening to Terry as he goes through that. He has the gift of being able to take children that are not easily placed. They're the most difficult to place foster children, and they'll give them to him. It's almost like who can stump Terry? And he's got four boys that are living with him. Not easy at all. And they are going through so many challenges mentally, emotionally, psychologically, that it's a miracle. And then he has to battle the social service systems that aren't always there to support you. And so, Terry, you've got our admiration. You've got our prayers. Man, we appreciate who you are and what you do. And I know that God has given you the strength that goes beyond what you have. A lot of times people look at Terry and they think because of his size that he can intimidate his way to these boys' love. That's not possible. They're not afraid of much, because they've looked death in the eye, and it's whatever. And but it's his love, it is his wisdom, it is his sense of humor. It is his living out his purpose is what are his superpowers. And I certainly want to honor him as we close out this show talking about purpose and our values. Tommy, final words.
Final words is, as I alluded to earlier, Eric, with young brother Malcolm circling back with me after 15 years, I am going to publicly promote and encourage all of our community to go to YouTube and pull up the song called Closer by an artist, a Bay Area, Oakland, California artist. Her name is Goapele. and Guapale, from a beautiful sister, beautiful spirit, excellent artist. The song that you're going to hear, Closer, was in one take. One take. It was edited the same day, just one take, where she went into the studio, was feeling a particular way, and her producer and some musicians, they started to put some things together, and she just started to kind of freestyle a song. And it became one of her greatest hits, and it resonates from an energy perspective with a lot of people. So I would like to invite folks to take a listen to the song. I would also like to invite folks to stay tuned to my brother, my friend Eric Ellis, and his project that he's going to be putting together and completing soon, that is going to bless the world. Undoubtedly bless the world. I'm anticipating a blessing from it, right? And it's not, yeah, absolutely. And so as I close, and I'll turn it back over to you for the official closing, Eric, as we are in overtime. I would like to say again, thank you to our community to keep chiming in. Roger, thank you for dropping the notes, the nuggets, and Terry and others. And for those who are not sharing input in the chat room, but also and always are there. Thank you. Thank you very much. We're honored and privileged to be with you.
Right. Tommy, tell us the song again.
Closer. Song is Closer by Guapale. It goes Closer to My Dreams, but the exact title is called Closer by Goapele. Goapele. Guapele.
Right. Well, I want to say to you, Tommy, I love you. I love our community. Terry Cooley gets up. He's in California. So he gets up at 6 a.m. so that he can weigh in. But we don't care how small or large the audience is here. What we know is that it is a blessing for us to be able to spend this time together. Tommy, I don't know what this is, man. How can God, in all of his wisdom, create enough time and space for you and I to convene every Saturday and to see the value in that and to experience the blessing of that? And for other folks to decide to join in with us, man. I mean, we're blessed. And
Eric, can you sing us out? Can you sing us out? I know it's early.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Thank you, Terry. We can do anything, man, just because we're free. We are all free to love each other and to love this opportunity that we've shared this morning, man. It's a blessing. Take care of each other and continue to have powerful diversity conversations. Know that you're not alone. And we'll look for you to join us again next Saturday morning when Tommy Lewis and I will invite you to join into this diversity conversation. Take care now.
Take care.